Good evening, and I'd like to call to order the May 22nd, 2023 regular board meeting of the East Penn School District Board of School Directors. May you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we have something really exciting to do tonight, and I'm going to let Dr. Campbell do the introduction.
Yes, periodically at our board meeting, we are fortunate to invite some student performers to come. And so this evening, as the school year rapidly winds down, we're so very fortunate that we have some special guests from Willow Lane Elementary. Specifically, at all of our elementary schools, we have some after-school clubs and activities. And so at Willow Lane, Mr. Ryan Peters, who is one of our teachers, as well as Dylan Peters, they're not brothers. Dylan is our instructional technology coach. They help to facilitate our after-school songwriting club at Willow Lane Elementary. And so our student songwriters have released their first song. Yes, they've released a song, and it's entitled All Are Welcome Here. And so this evening, we have our 4th and 5th grade students who are going to perform their original song for us, and they will be accompanied by the Peters.
Should we disperse or stay?
Yeah, and I'm just going to ask our board members, because they're going to play to the audience, so we'll stand and enjoy from the sidelines.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody, for having us. This is exciting. It's been a fun group to work with. We've had about 24 kids in the group this year, and so this is what we could muster up for this evening because of spring sports and things like that. But we wanted to share this song with you because we feel like it's a really special song. And one of the greatest things about the Songwriting Club is that we get an opportunity to sit and have conversations, and that leads to the song. So a theme that came out this year was one of acceptance and inclusion, and we're all different, and we all have different ethnicities and different origin, family of origin, and it's been a really cool journey with these kids. So we came up with a song that's called "All Are Welcome Here."
Listen to each other and try to understand. Need to change the world is in the palm of your hand. Should we all be wrong?
Well, on behalf of the board, I'd just like to thank you all for coming out and doing that. That was super special, very enjoyable, and what a way to start a meeting. That's all I got to say. Okay. Next on the agenda is the EHS Student Government Association report. I'd like to introduce Ms. Buchalski and Ms. Hess.
Thank you. That was a tough act to follow, but we have a lot of exciting events coming up. Starting this week, this Thursday, we have the art show in the North Wing of the high school from 7 to 9. And that same day, we have the annual Freddie Awards, and it's very exciting. Emmaus has been nominated for 15 awards this year, including Best Overall Production. So they will be able to perform one of their numbers during the show. And that is also Thursday at 7 p.m., and it'll be streaming on WFMZ Channel 69. Underclassmen Awards for the high school will be held at 8:30 a.m. on May 26th, and the Senior Awards Night is 6:30 on May 31st at the Zollner Arts Center at Lehigh University. Congratulations to the esports team. They competed in the state competition in Philadelphia this past weekend, and they finished top 4 in the state in a 50-plus team bracket. Another congratulations to the EHS academic team, who will be traveling to Chicago on June 1st to compete in Quiz Bowl Nationals. Good luck to all who are competing. And finally, thank you so much for such a wonderful opportunity these past 2 years. I've really enjoyed coming to these meetings, and I hope you all have a great summer. And on to Maddie.
Okay, so to go into some sports, unfortunately, our girls lacrosse team just lost about an hour ago to Easton in the district semifinals. They were also the EPC runners-up, so regardless of that loss at the end there, they had a wonderful season. Our boys lacrosse team lost last week in the district quarterfinals against Easton. Again, they had a wonderful season. Our boys volleyball ended as EPC runners-up, and our boys and girls track teams went 8-1 in the season, only losing to Parkland. Our EPCs, girls got second and boys got third. And then I have a little bit of a list coming here because we have 15 kids that will be moving on to states, which is just incredible for track and field. For girls, that's Haley Reinhard, Madeline McCartney, and Anna Farnslaughter. For boys, that's Kyle Moore, Tyler Krabinski, Donovan McCargo, Blaze Verastro, Dylan Darville, Tyleek Jarvis, Damar Gilzine, Tyler Fink, Brett Pevick, Jared Petra, Lane Bassett, and Haven Tarbox. I'm sorry if I said any of those names wrong. States are this coming Friday and Saturday, and these athletes will be leaving on school on Thursday. And then a final congratulations to our EPC Scholar athletes this year, which was Oscar, Ryan, Dylan, and Griffin. And then just as a heads up about a really cool day that we have coming up called Final Fest, which is in combination with 2 other events. We decided to squish it all together this year, June 2nd, I believe, which is our Friday coming up here. So it starts with ice cream social for seniors. So they get out for 4th period early to go eat ice cream, which just how cool is that? And then following right after that is a afternoon of fun on our fields here. We have a 72-foot long adult obstacle course. So that's going to be really neat. And then that evening is the senior sunset, which is being organized by our class officers. So just kind of a fun overall day for seniors. So that's it for our announcements. I want to echo what Maggie said earlier, that we just really thank you all for the opportunity to be able to sit on this board this year and just get to hear everything that's going on in our school from a student perspective. And we really hope these doors continue to stay open and can maybe even branch out further in the future. So thank you for the role that you've provided for us here.
So again, thank you for sharing your time. We know how valuable your time is and taking it out of your schedule. And it's been a pleasure to have you both here and hear what's going on in the high school and watch you grow up a little bit. But again, thank you very much for everything you've done, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors.
I, too, on behalf of our board and our school community, wish to thank both Maggie and Maddie for their outstanding service as SGA representatives to the school board. Maggie, we've had the pleasure of working with you for 2 years. I just want to mention, we're so very proud of the fact that after she graduates from Emmaus High School, she plans to attend Penn State to study communications. And Maddie, after your year of having you with us as a student representative on the board, you will be attending William and Mary, majoring in history with a goal of becoming a history professor. So if somewhere along the way you decide you want to be maybe a high school teacher, please keep us in mind. But, you are two individuals who really are examples of outstanding individuals, not only for your work in the classroom, but your work in the community. The way in which you really do represent, or you're the voice for students here on the school board, and we've always enjoyed working with you. And so on behalf of the board, we do have a very small gift for each of you that potentially you'll be able to buy one of many things that you're going to need after high school. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So one final time, I'll say this. Again, you are welcome to stay for as long as you want for the rest of the meeting. Otherwise, if you have other things to do, you're also welcome to leave. But again, thank you very much for your contributions.
Unfortunately, I do have to leave. Again, thank you and have a great summer.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, you too.
I'm sticking through.
All right, next on the agenda, a request to address the board. We have 3 tonight. Before I get to those, I'd like to read the following statement. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with public comment, speakers should feel free to express their opinion, comment, or question, and understand that this is not an interactive engagement with the board or with the administration. Please direct your comments to the chair. Be respectful, not engage in profane rhetoric, and be mindful that others, including students, may be listening. I would request that you consider that protocol when making your comments. For the members of the audience, please also be respectful and refrain from speaking during the public comment period. With that, I will now announce each speaker and their topic. When you step up to the podium, again, state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes within which to speak, and I will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. First of our 3 speakers tonight is Ms. Angelique Schneider to talk about community awareness.
Good evening. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the community, teachers, Emmaus High School students for the support that they have given me throughout this extremely contentious school board race. Transparency and integrity are values I personally hold very deeply. If this would have been the general election, I would be sitting in one of those seats with the board that allowed lies and slanders to create a divide within this community. The lies that have been circulated on the boardroom floor are for political gain and need to be exposed. Board members who allowed their actors to develop slanderous circulations, videos, and fictitious storylines, and I'll give you some examples of those. One, I have never met Mr. Bailey, but he seems to thrive in creating a calculated speech to push his own storyline of who I am and what I stand for. He even went as far to intimidate a local business owner who was a friend of mine for over 30 years for posting signs in support of my candidacy. The second example is the Defend East Penn website. It was developed for the purpose to defend East Penn, but I ask for who? From what? From Moms for Liberty or REAP? For the record, I stand before you today to put on the record that I have never been affiliated with Moms for Liberty or for REAP, neither of these groups. In short, the information circulated around our community regarding my involvement is completely false. Finally, while I don't have time to go into detail, community members should be aware that despite the promises from PACE, a certification group for the teachers union, they failed to release the Meet the Candidates Night tape. Several members of the teaching staff indicated that they felt the video was deliberately not released to hide the poor representation from some of the endorsed candidates. These attendants also indicated that they would not have certified these candidates if they had had a vote. As a school board members and school administrators, it is our role to raise the bar here at East Penn. And as we head into the November elections, I will continue to advocate for our district while promoting truthful information for the public And in closing, I ask to be mindful of the intimidation tactics that have been utilized in an attempt to gain additional votes. Who is behind the Defend East Penn lies? The multitude of heinous flyers that came around this community. Ask yourself, who made this political? Seek the truth and hold this accountable for the slander and the lies, because I certainly will. Teachers alike, please gather accurate information
30
to make
seconds.
informed choices when endorsing a candidate. I hope that this summer and early fall, the community will get to better understand the agenda that had been put into action from these candidates. And I will continue to rise above the attacks on me and my family, and certainly seek transparency for our community. Together, we should focus on what is truly important. After all, we are here to serve the students and the staff and the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Schneider. Our second speaker tonight is Mr. Ted Dobracki on Mr. Saul's excellent spreadsheet.
Well, some nice comments for a change. I just want to compliment Mr. Saul on his excellent presentation of the long-range plan and capital plan all in that one big spreadsheet. It looks far ahead, and it also tests different scenarios. And I only wish we had something like that 30 years ago when I was on this same school board. For my first budget year, the administration proposed a 27% millage increase. We could do that back in those days. There was no Act 1. The next year, I was the budget chairman, and we had a 13% increase proposed, but we had to cut it down to 10% because it was a reassessment year. Now, all that delayed the greatly needed building program. Fortunately, it bought time for us to figure out what we were going to do, and then we even had a tax decrease during my fourth year, and then the building program proceeded after that. The reason that happened was the planning tools that the board used at that time had only about 5 years of backward-looking revenue and spending data. The fund balance wasn't connected to it, and also the reserve was only 1%. And during those 2 years before I was on the board, they basically spent down a 5% fund balance down to about 1%. So that first year was really a double or triple or maybe even quadruple whammy all in one shot. And I don't know how they would have been planning to build schools with that kind of structure. So Mr. Saul's excellent spreadsheet, amazing spreadsheet, would have nipped that all in the bud if they were using something like that back then. So the last thing I want to say is the one big task I think that you all have ahead of you is you do know that over the next few years, there's about $5 million of bond payments that will expire once the bonds are paid off. Well, save that money for capital projects. Don't further away on spending it on other things or for tax cuts. Just use Mr. Saul's excellent spreadsheet to figure out what to do. That's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dobracki. Our third and final speaker tonight is Ms. Carrie Crawford on support staff shortage and budget.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Crawford, and I am the president of the East Penn Education Support Professionals Union. During the last board meeting, there was a lot of discussion regarding the budget for next year. As I was listening to what was being discussed, I heard a few references to support staff, specifically related to being short-staffed, difficulty in hiring, accolades for years of service, and the possibility of adding new staff for next year. Based on those references and the discussion related to funding for special education and safety, I wanted to share some additional information that may be helpful as you continue to discuss the budget for next year. Currently, there are 284 support staff members employed by the district. The administrative assistants and health room nurses, which make up 19% of these employees, are offered full-time employment, giving them the opportunity to cover an entire school day. The remaining 81%, which includes all instructional assistants and staff assistants, are offered part-time employment and can only cover a portion of the school day. As a result, we have IAs who cannot provide coverage with a student or group of students for the whole day, and we have study halls, recess, and lunches where the adult-to-student ratio is 1 to 75 plus. Our current CBA states that during years 2 through 5 of our contract, which is 2023 and 2027, the employer may choose to transition a portion of instructional assistants and our staff assistants to full-time, non-12-month positions. As with any transition from part-time to full-time employment, there are additional expenses. However, in choosing to do so, the district could increase the full-day coverage for IAs to work with students in special education, as well as provide a safer adult-to-student ratio during study halls, recess, and lunch. Fortunately, the district already has existing employees who are interested and willing to make this transition, and it would also help alleviate the issues with being short-staffed as well as hiring and retaining employees. I ask that as you continue your discussion on the budget, you would consider this option. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Okay, that now concludes requests to address the board. Moving on to our next item is the approval of minutes for the May 8th, 2023 meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bowen?
Aye.
Miss Bowman?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Champagne?
Aye.
Mr. Falegi?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Next item on the agenda is the district update. Dr. Campbell.
Yes, good evening. I'm going to try really hard not to repeat what Maggie and Maddie have reported earlier. However, this was such a phenomenal accomplishment of our students that I am going to start off by recognizing all 15 nominations for the Freddie Awards. Our students have been nominated for Outstanding Performance by an Orchestra, Outstanding Use of Scenery, Outstanding Use of Costumes, Outstanding Use of Lighting, Outstanding Small Ensemble Performance, Outstanding Use of Choreography and Musical Staging, Outstanding Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, that's for Emily Novak, Outstanding Ensemble, the Vic Kuma Award for Outstanding Vocal Performance by Jacob Kleindinst, Express Time Student Achievement nominee for Stage Manager and Volunteer Coordinator, that's Maeve Yanes, Outstanding Featured Performance by an Actress, Kira Kelly, Outstanding Production Number, Outstanding Stage Crew, Outstanding Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role, again, Jacob, and Outstanding Overall Production of a Musical. And several of my team members and I had the honor of being in the room with the cast of Fiddler when the Freddies were announced about a week ago, and it was just a phenomenal event to experience, to see the excitement in our students and our staff who were involved in the production when we received, rightly so, that many nominations. I also want to extend our huge appreciation to Jill Keebler, who's our director, Julia Wallace, who's the music director, Chris Kohler, our set designer, Diane Dodana, who does costumes and props, and Jerry Brown, who does choreography. Certainly, the fact that we have such an outstanding theater department is a collaborative effort, first and foremost, of our students and their families, as well as the phenomenal staff that we have who work as mentors for our students. So fingers crossed, we'll see how the Freddies go, but no matter the outcome, really we're so very proud of the performance of our students. I would also like to congratulate our Spring East Penn Pride Award winners. These are staff members from the district who've been nominated by community and other staff for really their outstanding commitment and dedication to our students. Our spring award winners are Sue Bauer from Eyre Middle School, Michael Billman, our technology director, Stacy Confer from Jefferson Elementary, Nicole Gillen from Eyre Middle School, Tina Hemphill, who is actually, she's our dispatch for STA, Sarah McDonald from Shoemaker Elementary, Tiffany Schimmel from Emmaus High School, Matt Spengler, one of our athletic directors, Jen Thomas from Jefferson Elementary, and Lexi Williams from Lincoln Elementary. And last Tuesday, we had an opportunity to celebrate all of our 22-23 East Penn Pride Award winners with our annual luncheon. We'd also like to congratulate the LCTI students who won first place in separate events this spring at the Skills USA Pennsylvania State Conference. Our first place winners have a chance to participate with other state champions from across the country at now nationals, and our students will compete the week of June 19th in Atlanta. Congratulations. Specifically, there are 6 students from LCTI who are advancing. 2 of those 6 are actually from Emmaus High School. So we certainly wish all 6 LCTI students the best of luck at nationals, as well as our 2 EHS students, Miranda LaFavor and Matthew George. Similarly, every month at LCTI, the teachers recognize students for outstanding effort, improvement, achievement, and leadership in their career and technical program. We have several students from Emmaus High School who were identified as the Spring LCTI Students of the Month. Shannon Anders, Gabriel Chisholm, Tori Holdridge, Sharia Kanai, Austin Lauer, Samuel Malitz, Andrew Riccardi, and Malik Walker. We'd also like to congratulate our East Penn 4th and 5th graders who competed in the annual Math 24 tournament that was recently held at the CLIU 21. We had 3 Willow Lane students who placed in the event: Luke Haprel, Dylan Moore, and Madison McGinnis, and Zeke Delp was a semifinalist. The Emmaus High School fitness team recently competed as well at the National Championships in Arkansas. The congratulations to our team who competed: Matt Jerry, Luke Blackwell, Danny Merck, Miguel Gonzalez, Max Zantera, and Jackson Barr. And Danny Merck and Luke Blackwell each earned a medal on the bronze team. You've heard me speak throughout the year about the VESPA program that we have in East Penn. That is the district's cyber option for students who are residents of East Penn. And there are many, many benefits to our VESPA program that we have, one of which is that we have teacher support for students who are taking their classes online. And also periodically throughout the year, we offer a variety of in-person special events for students and their families. And about 2 weeks ago on Friday, May 12th, our VESPA team hosted a VESPA Flight Fest that included flying paper airplanes, painting hot air balloons, and maneuvering an aeronautical-themed scavenger hunt. So we certainly like to thank our VESPA instructional team, including Mrs. Carolla, Mrs. Moser, Ms. Hoffman, our teacher, as well as the Emmaus Public Library for helping to collaborate with us on the event. I just wanted to remind our community that the last 2 of our free virtual series that introduce parents to youth suicide and prevention awareness are still coming up later this month, specifically on Wednesday, May 24th, as well as Wednesday, May 31st. Again, there are virtual modules specifically related to mental health awareness and the topics of suicide prevention and awareness. Information about those virtual sessions is available on our district website. I referenced earlier when our students were performing that the school year is very rapidly winding down. This is a reminder for our school community that the last day of school for students is Friday, June 9th, and that will be an early dismissal for students. So I encourage families to please watch for communication from your home building regarding student dismissal for that day, as well as just a reminder that we don't serve lunch in our buildings on the last day of school. Also coming up, Emmaus High School graduation will be held at the PPL Center on Sunday, June 11th. As again, the summer's quickly upon us, just a final reminder that Lehigh Career and Technical Institute is hosting Camp LCTI. That's scheduled for June 20th through the 23rd, and information is available on our district website. The first so many applicants were able to receive a free t-shirt. I'm going to say probably the free t-shirts are gone because that camp typically sells out. And the final reminder that I have is that we are always looking for partners with local businesses who might be interested in supporting our East Penn activity calendar. And so we do have some spots available for the 23-24 activity calendar. If there's any local business that's interested in partnering with us, simply reach out to our community liaison, Laura Groh, at their district office. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Ms. Bowman?
Yeah, I feel like lately I've been kind of saying the same comment here, but just, was this the best board meeting ever? I think it was. I don't usually say that. We haven't had a student performance since probably before the pandemic, I'm not sure, and this was among the best of the student performances I think we've ever had here. Really proud of those kids, blown away by their skills, and also incredibly grateful for the faculty advisors who helped them along. And just proud that we have a club at a school that can not only foster a sense of belonging, but so many skills. We talk about trying to turn kids on, for example, to reading. And I don't know what else turns on kids more than trying to figure out how to write words to a song that they can put out there and be proud of. Not to mention musical skills and singing skills and all of that. So I felt like that was a show of some of the best of East Penn. And every time you give your administrative report, we always hear about many different clubs, many different sports teams that are not just ranked in the state, but sometimes nationally. One, as we all know, one of our teams is #1 in the nation. So it's just incredibly impressive. But overall, what I think all of these, especially the clubs and teams do, is it helps bring together a sense of community here, and helps kids work together, and just fosters a great environment. So anyway, just thanks for bringing him here. I'd love to see more like that.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Mr. Champagne?
Yes, just one other quick thing. As you mentioned, graduation, LCTI Senior Recognition Night is May 31st at the PPL Center, I think starting at 6:30 for all those LCTI students who have gone through their programs up there. It's a wonderful event. I would encourage anyone who wants to see how that institution provides an alternative education opportunities for kids to come out to see the Senior Recognition Night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Champagne. Anything else? Well, thank you for those two additions to the report. Next item on the agenda is under Personnel. For item A, there is one correction. There's a clerical error on the personnel agenda items exhibit item number 10. It says food service support staff appointments. It should read support staff appointments. We're going to take this agenda item in two motions. So I'd first like to take a motion to approve the personnel agenda items and corresponding exhibits with the exception of item 12, additions to the 2022-2023 per diem substitute list. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Ms. Bowman?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Champagne?
Aye.
Mr. Falegi?
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen?
Aye.
Dr. Levinson?
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I'd like to take the remainder of the personnel agenda. I'd like to have a motion to approve item 12, additions to the 2022-2023 per diem substitute list of the personnel agenda items.
So moved. Second.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mr. Byrd?
Aye.
Mr. Champagne?
Aye.
Mr. Falegi?
Abstain.
Mr. Jankowski?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Dr. Whitney?
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Bowman,
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Okay, thank you
Dr.
very.
Levinson.
How did you
Oh, I'm sorry. Aye, thank you.
8 ayes, 1 abstain.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Allen, for keeping me honest. Okay, before we move on to item B, I believe Dr. Campbell has something she'd like to say.
Yes, the board just accepted the retirement of two individuals who have certainly dedicated a substantial number of years to serving our East Penn community in a variety of ways. In particular, Mr. John Hamill will retire this summer after a total of 26 years in our maintenance department, and he has served at both Emmaus High School and most recently at Willow Lane Elementary. And Darla Masters has also recently retired from the school district. She's had 25 years of service in our food service department, and so we certainly appreciate their commitment and dedication of both employees and wish them well in their retirement.
Thank you for that, Dr. Campbell, and thank you for their service. Next item is item B, contract for employment of the superintendent. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mr. Champagne.
Aye.
Mr. Falegi.
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Byrd.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Well, congratulations, Dr.
Thank
Campbell. Next item is item C, reappointment of Dr. Doug Povolitis as Assistant Superintendent. This motion is to denote the board's intention to retain Dr. Povolitis. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mr. Falegi.
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Champagne.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Item D is a reappointment of Ms. Laura Whitman as Assistant Superintendent. This is a motion to denote the board's intention to retain Ms. Whitman. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Champagne.
Aye.
Mr. Falegi.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, and congratulations. Okay, that concludes the personnel agenda. Next is business operations. If there are no objections, I'd like to take items A through C together.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, questions from the board? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Champagne.
Aye.
Mr. Falegi.
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Next item is item 6, curriculum. May I have a motion, please,
So moved.
for conferences?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Ms. Allen, please call the roll.
Dr. Whitney.
Aye.
Mrs. Bowen.
Aye.
Ms. Bowman.
Aye.
Mr. Byrd.
Aye.
Mr. Champagne.
Aye.
Mr. Falegi.
Aye.
Mr. Jankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Dr. Levinson.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Item 7, other educational entities. I believe we have a report on CLIU from Dr. Whitney.
Yes, so the Board of Directors of the CLIU met on May 15th. The big news from that meeting is the official ratification of hiring Dr. Gregory Coons as the next Executive Director for the CLIU. It's a very exciting hire. As someone who was part of the board committee and during the search process, we had some outstanding candidates for the position, put them through 3 very rigorous rounds of interviews, and in the end, Dr. Coons was a unanimous choice as an excellent candidate for the next executive director, and to fill some very, very big shoes with the retirement of Dr. Elaine Ibe after 14 years. Dr. Coons, just a little bit on his background, the last 6 years he's been the executive director of the Schuylkill County Intermediate Unit. A smaller intermediate unit than Carbon-Lehigh, but certainly has been undertaking the similar roles in that entity. And then prior to that, he was with the Luzerne County Intermediate Unit. He has background as a director of special education teacher. So he certainly has that aspect of the background, very strong in special education, and just an incredibly personable and really articulate and intelligent person. He has a podcast that I would highly recommend that's on various leadership topics. He's very engaging on that. And just, I think will be a really good steward of the CLIU going forward, and continue the already good momentum that's in place there. So very excited to announce that, and hope you all might have the opportunity, if you haven't already, to interface with Dr. Coons at some point. Other than that, the meeting agenda, we had a few items, rather large personnel agenda, approving all the summer staff for the various summer programs in CLIU. We approved an increase, a 3% salary increase for the non-union CLIU staff, which includes a lot of the manager level positions throughout the CLIU and some of the support staff positions. So these are non-union, non-Act 93 positions that fall somewhere in between. So we approved a 3% increase on salary and a benefits package that brings them in line with the Education Association, the teachers within CLIU. And that is the extent of my report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney. Are there any questions? Well, I'm happy that the search was successful, and Dr. Coons sounds like he's going to be hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. Our next update comes from Ms. Ann Thompson, a trustee for Lehigh Carbon Community College. Welcome, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here this evening. I'm also happy that when you voted on our budget, you didn't have any questions. That was good. I had Mrs. Allen put something at your place that you probably have seen before because it was in our budget book. And it basically gives you an overview of how many students and lots of important things about Lehigh Carbon Community College. Last week, Lehigh Carbon Community College had their graduation ceremony at the PPL Center. And as you all know, when you sit there up on that stage, how wonderful that is to see your students walk by. We actually had 927 people graduate from L-TRI-C, and 482 of them were there in the PPL Center. There was another group that was recognized as graduates with associate degrees, and those were the early college students. I don't believe that East Penn participates in that program yet, but basically the idea is that our staff work with your guidance counselors, and students in East Penn who are juniors and seniors would take college credits at L-TRI-C or here when you do dual enrollment here, and they get an associate degree as well as their high school degree. So consequently, you are saving 2 years of college expenses by doing that this way. And we had 65 students graduate with associate degrees under the early college program. It is sort of interesting, just in terms of the PASHE school systems, our students, that is community college students, our L-TRI-C students, have a better percentage of finishing in 4 years than students who go to PASHE from the beginning. And for those of you who don't know what PASHE is, you know that's Millersville, East Stroudsburg, those schools. One thing we always do at graduation is sing the alma mater. And in the alma mater, it includes these words, "To all an open door." And that is exactly the way the community college operates. On the thing that I passed out, it has our vision statement and mission statement. Lehigh Carbon Community College builds a stronger community by providing an accessible, equitable, inclusive, and affordable education to empower our students to achieve academic and career goals. During the pandemic time, we learned some things, just like I'm sure you learned some things. And one of the things that we did, because we had COVID money, we hired a number of people who were success coaches. They weren't we did hire academic coaches as well, but we hired success coaches, and they were people who would help our students with ordinary problems, like my rent is going up and I have to take on another job, so that's why I'm not here in class every week. The success coaches, the coach stepped in, figured out what was going on, and we have a little pot of money to help people who have that problem. One of our employees did her doctorate using the success coaches. That was the study that she did. And we had wonderful success helping people overcome personal problems as well as academic problems. At one point in time, there was somebody who had a question as to what does the East Penn representative do at L-TRI-C? Well, I was the past chair, and now I get to serve on the Strategic Planning Committee, and I'm very proud to say that our institution runs by the strategic plan. And we did something that was sort of a risk-taking thing. Instead of having a speaker at the beginning of the year, we had a SWOT review. And in case you don't know what that is, that stands for successes, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And all the people who attended convocation, the teachers, the sports staff, the custodians, the trustees, they divide us into groups, and they send us through various rooms. And we were given the opportunity to make comments either verbally or on pieces of paper or on our devices, and they took all the comments so that we could assess what people thought were our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats. And consequently, we had a large pool of ideas that was great. And as would be the case, I took part of this, and it was interesting to hear what some people said, just as I think you would find yourself, because you sit around this table, you know more than the average person, but that presented a whole bunch of interesting concerns, strengths, ideas, and our summary in terms of our strategic plan. We're doing communication data, employee experience, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and L-TRI-C has added a B to those letters, and that's for belonging. Enrollment, recruitment, and retention, and programming. So we are working very hard to help everyone in the community have the opportunity to have a better life and be a more productive citizen. I thank you for your support. We all thank you as trustees and as those who work at L-TRI-C. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Ms.
I didn't
Thompson.
ask, did you have any questions? No.
I have a quick question there.
Yes.
So you mentioned the success coaches. So as something new what kind of feedback did you get from the students in terms of the help that they provided?
I think the students were very grateful in reality.
Okay.
Actually, they found for the success coaches, it was a little difficult to get the students to actually answer, like when somebody from the college is calling you on the phone, are you concerned that you haven't paid your bill? And they learn strategies for how to actually contact the students.
Okay.
There was one other thing that I didn't mention that I think is really important, and that is we have about 60 relationships with other colleges and universities for our students to transfer. One of the more recent ones is with Drexel, and that is that our students who graduate from LTRI-C can go to Drexel for half the tuition. So,
That's quite a program.
thank you. Thank
Okay.
you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Appreciate the report, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with you. Well, if there are no further comments or questions on that, I'll move on. There are no other items. 2 announcements. The first is we did have an executive session this evening where we talked about personnel, negotiations, and other confidential matters. Our next regular board meeting will be in 3 weeks on Monday, June 12th, at 7:30 here in the boardroom. With no further business, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Good evening, and thank you, and enjoy the rest of this fine